Hey, I'm back to talk a little bit more about the menopause, TBI, overlap of symptoms thing that I mentioned in my last video. And I would have had another one out probably right away, but I actually got more sick after that video that I made. I was just starting to kind of feel a little bit better, but then boom, I just hit this fatigue wall, and I literally just, I don't think I've ever slept that much in my life, and not even good sleep, broken up sleep, but just literally not being able to move, which is so not like me. So doctor's appointment is on the way, but in the meantime, here's what I've discovered. So if you are someone who is in the change of your life, either perimenopause, menopause, any of those things, keep listening. If you're not there yet, but you want to know how to avoid some of the not so great things, keep listening. But so you may have noticed that there's a lot of videos recently about using some of the creams for menopause that you use down there, using them on your face. Hormone replacement therapy in general is being just talked about a ton across the airwaves, on podcasts, on YouTube videos, social media. It just seems to be a thing right now. So I thought I would share what happened with me. So if you didn't see the other video, I'll put up the card so you guys can click, and I'll put it in the description too, so you can go check it out. But I was talking about the symptoms that I had that seemed to be menopause, but I have post-concussion syndrome, and I've been doing really well, taking supplements, doing all the things that you're supposed to do to keep yourself well and to not have a relapse. And I hadn't even been thinking about relapse, but I had all these symptoms and I felt horrible. Like no energy, brain fog, was losing words, was, I won't say stuttering, but like I couldn't get the words out. And then my legs felt like they had lead boots on. And I've never experienced that before. I walk everywhere and I was like, what the hell? But I Googled all of these things, and I happened to be on, and I won't get into the details so you can watch the other video, but basically came across a webinar, and that person was talking about concussion symptoms and post-concussion syndrome and how to heal from a concussion. And they had a checklist, which is another video, it's linked. So the bottom line is, I remembered that I am supposed to be careful about pushing myself physically. And it's nice weather here in New England. I had just moved my bike I moved, so it was in storage, got it out of storage, cleaned it up, did all that, got on my bike, was excited to have my first ride. It was around my birthday. And I was like, yay, I'm back out there. It's been close to a year. Didn't get to ride as much this past summer and spring because my daughter was home and very sick, and was with her pretty much 24/7 unless a friend was there to let me get out, basically. It's been a long time. I got on the bike. I wasn't pushing super hard. I was on a flat surface, did my normal ride, wasn't really paying attention super close to the mileage, but I'm in a new area, so I couldn't do like my normal route. Ended up on a bike path, which was a slight incline. I felt okay, but I got home and I was like, whoa, I did 17 miles, which the bike fit me would be like, wow, no big deal, but obviously not bike fit. And even though I wasn't pushing as hard, I fell into bed and whatever, fell asleep. And then the next couple days, I would expect to not feel very good, right? Because your body's adjusting. But then I had all these other things happen after that, and I didn't associate them with this bike ride. I was just like, what's wrong with me? All these things were happening to me. It was like even digestive problems. It was just very strange. Bottom line, all those things are related to a post-concussion relapse. So I hit the threshold for my exercise, and when you do that, you can throw yourself back into a relapse, and all of the symptoms that you had closer to your concussion can come back. And I worked through so many of them, so it was really a bummer to feel that. But because there were about 2 weeks in between where I had no idea there was even any relationship between the way I was feeling and the concussion, I started watching all the videos that you may be seeing if you're also somebody in menopause. Oh, you want to have better skin, you want to get rid of your belly, you want to get rid of your brain fog, you want to have stronger bones, you want to have more energy, you want to have more muscle tone. So I was like, oh, maybe, especially there is actually a relationship between some of the hormone replacement therapies, and your bone density, your brain, cognitive. There are many things that it supports, including like heart disease and things like that. There are also many things that they warn you about if you have blood clots and cancer in your family. I do have those things, so I need to be really careful, but watching these videos, I was like, oh, I'll just get Estriol. That's the I want to say, yeah, it's supposed to be bioidentical. It's like a cream. Everything says, yeah, you can use it on your face. There's no impact the rest of your body. I normally do my research and I looked it up and I was like, okay, this is pretty safe. Estradiol is stronger and you need a prescription for that. Estriol is actually, you can get it on Amazon. I got it on Amazon. And I read tons of reviews and I read quite a bit. So I took it and listening to those videos, did all the things, put it on my face, put it on my neck, put it on my inner wrists and things like that. And probably for the first couple of days, I was doing okay. But then I was like, what the hell? I started getting hot flashes. So this is for you if you're like me and you're like, oh, I want an inexpensive face cream that's going to also help my brain, protect my heart, protect my bones, yada, yada. What's the downside? I am pretty sensitive, chemically sensitive, and you might be too. But also, whether you are or not, even if they sell this stuff over the counter, we really do need to work with a doctor, because if they can get our levels, our estrogen, our progesterone, all our hormone levels in advance, then we can know if we're already elevated or at a normal level. Because what happens is once you tinker with one of your hormone levels, the other levels can get out of whack because they're going to try to support. So anyway, and I'm not a doctor. I'm just explaining what happened. I did a lot of research and figured out some of what was going on. But so then I thought, oh, I'm having hot flashes, and I Googled it. Oh, then you can try some progesterone, which will balance out the estriol. And then I did that. And then, oh my gosh, I just started feeling so bad overall, like a lot worse. And this is the part that when people are talking about skin and beauty and all the supportive things, everybody's body's different. I might be just super hypersensitive. It might be that I also am in this post-concussion syndrome mode where your system is already out of sorts, right? So I didn't know that there was a connection there. And so I was trying to unravel, because I had already started on the cream. Your body is adjusting to it. And what I discovered is it's very sensitive. So if you just decide to stop cold turkey, you're probably going to get headaches, which I did have I had headaches. I ended up getting hot flashes. I would say, oh, the other thing is you're only supposed to put the estrogen on in the morning, not at night, which a lot of people think, oh, night cream. No, when you put estrogen in your skin, in your body, it is going to be something that will be, I'm trying to think of the right word, it's going to be more of an alert type of a thing. It's going to more like awaken you. So I had terrible sleep. This is why I started the progesterone too. It's supposed to help you sleep. It did not help me sleep. So progesterone is supposed to be for nighttime. Estrogen is supposed to be for the morning. So those two things are really important to know. And I never saw any of that on any of the bottles, any of the whatever. So again, that's the downside. Even when you're reading through this information, you need more details about what can go wrong, or, oh boy, or how not to use it, because it can work against you. Anyway, so then the other thing that happened, the progesterone, I was trying to you're supposed to use it on your inner thighs, inner wrists. So I did that. And then I was like, I just decided, I was like, you know what, this isn't for me. I need to back off and stop. And I have a uterus. If you don't have a uterus, the way you approach progesterone is very different. But so you do it in cycles. You can do it in cycles and you can stop. So I just was like, I've only been doing this for a little while. I'm not going to take it. And because it said you can use it on your inner thighs, I wanted to keep the estrogen away from my breasts, the top part of my body. So I was like, oh, I'll just put it there. They say inner wrists, your thighs. If you're using it on your face, you should be able to use it on your neck or parts of your face, not too much. So guess what happened? When I tried to apply the estrogen, on my legs. It gave me cellulite on the front of my legs, and I'm not joking, and I wish I had pictures, but I don't even want to see the pictures. So if you have, we all have some cellulite on the back of our legs. I did not have any in the front or that particular area, and I was just in shock. I looked down and then I looked it up, and yes, in fact, estrogen will, if you have more estrogen in your body, where you're placing the cream, the fat can redistribute to that area, and estrogen can promote cellulite and fat storage, and the storage can go to where you're putting it. So be very careful where you put it. So inner wrists, that's why a lot of people are putting it under their eyes if they have hollows under their eyes. But I was just so freaked out. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm trying to help myself and I feel worse. Now I feel like I look worse. And it was just one of those laughable, not so laughable moments because I was feeling so terrible. But anyway, I'm sharing this. I'm being really vulnerable because I just keep seeing these videos because of course I Googled it. And so now it's in my browser, and it's all of this stuff about these hormone creams being used for other reasons, and women being mad that we're not prescribed these things and we're not given them, because there is a connection to cancer. And there is a lot of evidence that says also now in a lot of studies, which I can do another video where I'm in my car, so I don't have all the research here, but there are more studies now than there were in the past where it's showing that you do have to make that call, you and your doctor, like, is it worth the benefit of strengthening your heart, your bones, your cognitive abilities? If there is a risk for cancer in your family, there might be a way to do it that is safe at a lower dose, but is still protective and helping you versus maybe too much, which would then send you over on the other side and then not be so great. So again, it's like a delicate balance, which means you have to have blood tests. You have to have somebody you're working with who can test your levels. So in the middle of all this, I used AI to create trackers and sheets for me because I was trying to figure out like when to put what thing was producing what result. So I actually was tracking all of this, and I'm going to give it to my doctor when I see my doctor. There's no progesterone in my life at this moment, externally anyway. There's a teeny tiny bit of estrogen because I didn't want to get the headaches. So I cut it way, way back, only used a little bit on my wrists, maybe a teeny tiny bit on my face, but I'm like, it's not worth it. So this is just a cautionary tale. If you are at all chemically sensitive, definitely think twice and ask your doctor. And I think a lot of people don't want to ask their doctor because they feel like their doctor's just going to tell them, no, don't use it. And I get it. But there are more menopause and hormonal experts out there than ever. I think it's a really big field and growing. I know that I looked up like a couple people locally, and every time I hit one of the websites that looked good, I'd scroll down. Oh, unfortunately, due to high demand, we are not accepting new patients. So I have a pretty good holistic doctor who, she knows quite a bit about that, but we'll see what she has to say when I have my appointment. I will loop back here and make another follow-up video. But if you're trying to feel better, if you're fighting mental pause, do talk to your doctor. Don't do what I did. Don't be casual about it. And again, if you have had any impact injuries, any head injuries, anything like that related to domestic violence or sports, that kind of thing, the other video that is related to this one, I talked about this crazy statistic, which is that domestic violence survivors are 12 times more likely to have a TBI than military and athletes combined. So all the military and all the athletes, combine them together. As a DV survivor, you are 12 times more likely to have at least one traumatic brain injury. Yeah, and then they are not studied because women are hiding. They don't want doctors to know sometimes that they were hit. They're protecting their abuser because things obviously could get worse. And if they're not ready they don't have somewhere to go or a protective situation, then they don't get help. And then they also are not as likely to donate their brains to science which is a lot of the work that's done studying brains is after you're gone. And so they're just way more male brains that they've done studies on, not so many women. So there's a real issue there. But yeah, that's the other thing. You may also have some sort of TBI, so definitely consider looking up the symptoms of that, because if you're having mood issues, depression, you're feeling like you're in a fog, you're having trouble finding words, you have memory issues, you have a lot of anxiety, you maybe have a lack of balance, you may have trouble sleeping, you may get really fatigued if you have to do anything that's mentally taxing, whether it's on the computer or paperwork, something that requires a lot more focus. If you're doing kind of manual things like driving a car, taking care of kids, shopping, you might be okay. But then when you have to get into a higher level of thinking where you really have to use your brain and you have to use your executive function, it may be really difficult for you. The other thing is you may also have issues with vision. Things might be a little blurry, maybe looking at screens or signs, or you notice like your depth of field is a little bit out of whack. That's related to post-concussion. So you would want to talk to your doctor about it. If you suspect that there's something there, definitely talk to your doctor. If you feel comfortable, you can just say, this is what's going on. I never really thought about this before, but all of these things haven't gone away. I would like to be consulted with a concussion specialist. They may want to do a scan. They may not even have to. They didn't have to do a scan for me because I failed all their tests. But yeah, so that's all I got for today. Hopefully you guys are doing well, and would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. If you have any questions about any other topics you want me to cover related to any of this or something else, please do let me know. All right, lots of love. Bye.